Thanks, Clive. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Look North, our top story tonight. A campaign for 2 doctors to check cancer scans after a tumour went undiagnosed.
I don't even know if the radiologist that read that X-ray is still working for the Trust. I mean, to be honest, he or she shouldn't be.
An NHS trust is forced to apologise. Also tonight, BBC's Panorama programme reveals wood from rare forests in Canada is being burnt at Drax Power Station. Remember this? Tadcaster's bridge is back in the news as people reveal what happens every time the rebuilt structure closes. The Princess Royal meets Rob Burrow as she thanks those raising funds to treat motor neurone disease.
Well, it was looking a little bit grey on the Leeds-Liverpool Canal in Rodley when this was taken earlier today. But what about Thursday and, of course, Friday, which is the first day of meteorological spring? Join me for that very latest forecast.
Hello, it's good to have your company this evening. First tonight, a woman from West Yorkshire who was diagnosed with terminal cancer 2 years after her tumour was missed on an X-ray is campaigning for 2 doctors to check every scan. Anne Shaw had a 3-centimetre tumour in her ovary, which was clearly visible during a scan she had in 2019. Now, by the time her cancer was picked up 2 years later, it had spread to her bowel, leaving her with a permanent stoma bag. Leeds Teaching Hospital Trust has apologised for the error. Olivia Richwald reports.
Walked for miles. Well, I did. You had the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Anne and Louis have been married for almost 25 years. They met as children and married later in life, but enjoyed many adventures overseas. Now Louis lives in fear of losing his wife, and Anne hates her appearance after doctors failed to spot she had cancer for 2 years.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. It's heartbreaking.
My body's been dismantled. I mean, if I was a dog, they'd have put me down.
Anne survived breast cancer in 2006 and ovarian cancer in 2016. 3 years later, she had a routine scan at Leeds Teaching Hospitals on her hip. The X-ray clearly showed she had another tumour in her ovary, but it was not picked up. In 2020, she was unwell and concerned she had cancer again, but a registrar who performed a tummy examination told her she was fine. Anne's cancer was only picked up in autumn 2021, and by then it had spread to large parts of her bowel, leaving her with a stoma bag.
I'm very proud of myself and how I look, and it's important to me. But every time I look now, all I see is this great big ugh. So I've lost my own self-respect. I've no interest in my body.
It's very difficult when you go to bed to cuddle her because I'm frightened if I, too tight, it can burst. My wife's going to lose her life because of this. Not looking properly at an X-ray or a scan.
Anne's cancer is now classed as dormant, but she doesn't know how much time she has left. She's calling for all X-rays to be viewed by 2 doctors.
I don't even know if the radiologist that read that X-ray is still working for the Trust. I mean, to be honest, he or she shouldn't be. I would like to see a rule, if you like, that 2 consultants must look at the X-rays. I think that would make a big difference. It might put more of a burden on the NHS, but I'm sorry. We have lives that we need to live.
Anne has now received compensation for the mistake. Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust apologised for the delay in Anne's diagnosis and said it had investigated and shared the results with radiologists. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North, Leeds.
And sharing her story there, and we wish her all the best. Next tonight, the BBC has discovered that a North Yorkshire power company that received £6 billion in environmental subsidies has continued burning wood from some of the world's most precious forests. Documents obtained by Panorama show that last year Drax took timber from rare forests in Canada that it previously claimed were no-go areas. The programme originally investigated the company's activity in British Columbia back in 2022. The latest discovery comes as the UK government decides whether to give Drax billions more in public subsidies. Drax says its wood pellets are sustainable and legally harvested. Earlier I spoke to BBC Panorama journalist Joe Crowley, who's been looking into the issue.
Well, let's start with Drax Power Station, which generates about 5% of the UK's electricity. Now, the wood pellets it burns are classed as renewable, so therefore it receives huge sums of money from subsidies from energy bill payers. The power station gets through a lot of wood pellets, about 6.5 million tonnes a year. Many of these come from the US and Canada, and all of them are imported from overseas. Now, we looked at Drax's operations in British Columbia. The company used to apply for logging licenses there. It no longer does so, but it still takes wood from harvest sites that have been cut down by timber companies. And we've discovered that some of the wood Drax has taken has come from the oldest and the rarest forests in British Columbia, known as old growth. Now, old growth is essentially natural forest that's never been industrially logged and has grown to an advanced age. In total, we found that in just the first 9 months of last year, Drax took more than 50,000 tonnes of logs from old growth sites. That is 1,000 or more than 1,100 lorry loads, a huge amount of wood. And actually many of these sites included forests that had the even higher classification of priority deferral areas. These are areas of forest that an independent panel of experts in British Columbia have said are rare, at risk and irreplaceable, and they recommended that logging should be paused in these areas, although it is still legal to cut them down. So essentially, campaigners say it is not sustainable for Drax to be taking any material from these old growth forests.
And what has Drax had to say on this?
Well, Drax does admit that it has taken wood from old growth forests in British Columbia and burned it at its Yorkshire power plant. But it does say that 77% of the material used for its Canadian wood pellets come from sawdust and sawmill residues, with the rest coming from forestry residues and what it calls low-grade logs. Now, Drax says it regularly reviews its sourcing policy, and it said in October last year it took the decision to no longer take logs from priority deferral areas. However, they do not dispute that they are still taking logs from old growth forests in British Columbia that isn't priority deferral area.
And these revelations do come at a really important time for Drax, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, so far Drax has received over £6 billion in subsidies from energy bill payers. This current subsidy scheme goes to 2027. The government is currently consulting on extending that scheme to 2030. That could cost bill payers an additional £4 billion. Any further subsidies would be to support Drax while it tries to fit carbon capture technology to reduce emissions at its power station. But previously, the government's scientific advisors on the Climate Change Committee warned that subsidies for burning wood pellets should not be extended beyond 2027.
Joe Crowley, thank you. You're watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. A game of two halves. The National Theatre takes a touring production of Jekyll and Hyde into a Wakefield school. Before that, though, to Tadcaster in North Yorkshire and the seemingly never-ending saga involving the Towns Bridge. Residents have become increasingly frustrated with regular closures of the bridge when the river level is high. It means that drivers have got to take a 20-minute diversion, and a delay that's really concerning for 101-year-old Ruth Pearson, as it leaves her separated from her daughters who live on the other side of town.
It's a worrying job, it's a worrying thing, this bridge.
Nuisance. A bloody nuisance, if I'm allowed to say that.
So millions of people watched that clip of this bridge collapsing, so when they see that, it's just a bridge to them, but for everyone that lives here and works here, it triggers huge emotions. It's not just a bridge to us, it's our lifeline in the town.
Here in Tadcaster, this 300-year-old structure has been at the heart of the community, but in recent months it's caused frustration and anger. The bridge collapsed in 2015 and it took 2 years to fully reopen. Following the recent storms late last year, the council implemented a measure which meant that when the water level reached a certain height, the bridge must close to all vehicles. This has happened 5 times in the space of a few months. The closure forced residents to use an alternative route, either via the nearest village or using a dual carriageway service station. both of which can take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes.
So when I became the North Yorkshire member for Tadcaster, one of the reasons that I stood in that election is because I am a resident here. I work here, I'm a youth worker in the town. So everything that happens in this town I experience myself. As a resident, you don't realise how much you rely on that connection. I don't think any of us could have really fully appreciated how much it impacted us all.
Sisters Ruby and Elizabeth both live in Tadcaster and have to use the bridge so they can care for their 101-year-old mother. When the bridge does shut, what is the direct impact it has on you and your family?
I panic immediately because I know she's going to worry.
Well, it's awful because you do feel helpless. There's nothing we can do in a hurry. We have to communicate all the time. Is the bridge closed? Can we get there? Are you getting there? Am I going to go? Will I go? Will I see you there?
I would never have moved over to this side of Tad while she's alive if that had become an issue a year ago. It would have been like moving to another town altogether.
Hello, are you all right?
Yes, thank you.
It was worrying, but nevertheless very worrying. Well, just consider the people who live here and realise that that bridge, you close that bridge and you're separating a whole village of people. Ridiculous.
The council have since increased the minimum water height that would close the bridge from 2.4 metres to 2.8 metres.
It doesn't sound like a lot, does it? But it actually is quite influential. At a 2.4 metre height on the Arch 1, the bridge would have been closed 22 days during this period. Arch 3, which is the 2.8 metre height, it's only 7 days.
When the bridge first collapsed, £4.4 million was spent fixing it. Why are the community still dealing with the repercussions today?
That collapse event, going back, them years, has triggered the cognizance that the bridge needs to be maintained. It could go again, and we don't want that, of course.
There's a lot of anger and frustration amongst the community at these closures. Do you empathise with the community?
I really do empathise, and I apologise profusely. It's nobody, likes this situation. The diversions via the A64, it's a long way around, I fully appreciate that. It's just one of apology, really.
I think we're just going to have to get used to a new normal in the town, and I know that that's not necessarily what people want to hear, but things are changing. The world is changing, everywhere is changing, and things that are impacting globally are impacting us here.
You can see the frustration for residents, but how fabulous does Ruth look for 101? Fantastic. Jacob Tomlinson was there with that report. Next this evening, victims of the contaminated blood scandal from across the UK gathered at Parliament today calling for urgent action on compensation payments. Almost a year ago, the head of the Infected Blood Inquiry published an interim report saying that the compensation scheme should be set up with urgency. That hasn't happened yet. It's one of the biggest disasters in the history of the NHS, where thousands of patients were given contaminated blood in the 70s and 80s. Norman Revell travelled down from York to London today to join the demonstration. He was infected with hepatitis C through a blood transfusion in 1983 and has spoken out for the first time.
I was trying to hold a job down. I was trying to travel all over Europe at the same time. It was extremely difficult. My marriage at the time fell into disrepair, and I lost my home, I lost my family.
Let's take a look at some other stories coming into our newsroom now. Work has begun on a new drinking water reservoir in North Yorkshire. The underground tank will be built between York and Malton near the village of Harton. Yorkshire Water says it'll ensure resilience in the future when more homes and a new prison are due to be built in the area. It'll hold 10 million litres of water. Completion is expected in May next year. Now, next year's budget for Wakefield Council has been approved today, but it comes with a warning about the significant gap between what the council needs to deliver and the government money it receives. The government has previously announced an extra £600 million for councils, but that's not something the council leader feels is enough.
It's always difficult, and we've made savings across the council, but the bulk of it had to come from council tax, and it's never easy putting council tax up, but I think people understand where the blame lies, and the government are forcing us into putting council tax up.
Dedicated campaigners who've been raising awareness and funds in aid of motor neuron disease gathered at Headingley Stadium today to meet the Princess Royal. You'll recognise this face. Rob Burrow, former Leeds Rhinos player, and his family were among the guests. Princess Anne is the royal patron of the MND Association. Nicola Rees was there.
Well, every time we come to Headingley, I'm reminded just how special this place is to Rob Burrow. It's where he started his rugby league journey back in 2001 when he made his debut for Leeds Rhinos. But today, it's the place that he met Princess Anne. The Princess Royal made a special journey up to Leeds to say thank you to Rob, to Rob's family, to all of his supporters for all the incredible work they do to raise money, funds, awareness of motor neuron disease. Well, I'm delighted to say we can talk to Rob's wife, Lindsay, now. Lindsay, how has the day gone and what was it like to have the Princess Royal here?
Yeah, it's been such a special day. I think lots of memories have been made today, and it's been brilliant to be here with, the rugby community who've done so much to support Rob, and not just Rob, but the whole MND community and the fundraising and awareness that's been raised. So to be here today in the presence of Her Royal Highness, Princess Royal, has just been, fantastic. It's been a brilliant day.
What did she say to you?
Just asked us about the MNDA and how they've supported us as a family. We were talking to the children about having time off school, and so yeah, it was just really very down to earth. She was lovely. Talked about obviously the fundraising that Rob and Kevin had done. So yeah, it was lovely to meet her.
There was a lot of optimism in the room as well, wasn't there, about the funds and how the research and the knowledge is just growing all the time.
Yeah, and that's why Rob told his story, was to to help people that didn't have a voice, and to raise that awareness. And I think that's one thing that we're really proud of Rob, that he's gone out and showed his told his story, and people now know what MND is, and like you say, there's money now for research, which there wasn't before, and that is making a huge difference.
How is he, and what would he have wanted to say about today? I know he doesn't have his machine with him, so I'll ask you.
Yeah, I think it's just a huge honour and privilege, for Rob to be here today again with the rugby community, having people that have just supported him from his diagnosis. A really special day, and I know we'd be really thankful for everyone's support.
Will you be on the start line of the marathon this year?
I'm going to do the half marathon this year. I haven't trained as much as I did last year, so I don't think I can get away with doing the full one this year, but I'm going to do the half marathon.
That sounds really sensible, actually. Thank you for talking to us. Keep up the good work. Tanya's also here. Tanya from the MND Association. Just tell us a little bit about what it meant to have the Princess here today, Princess Royal.
It was amazing, wasn't it? She is so embedded in everything we're doing for the community, and she understands people's individual journey and challenge, and I think she really brought that to light today. So it was an amazing day.
Well, it was a very inspiring room to be in today, and I think it's worth saying that every royal visit, every accolade, every award that Rob receives is another opportunity to just shine the light back on the MND community, and to keep the focus, of course, on the fundraising and the awareness work, and ultimately to find that cure.
Yeah, indeed it is. Nicola, thank you. It looked like a great day, didn't it? On to boxing now. A Sheffield boxing club is facing eviction after the special school which owns the building needs the space to help more pupils. Aspire Boxing Club's current home is on the site of the Sheffield Inclusion Centre in Arbourthorne, and it's been training young people in the city for 34 years. It does some fantastic work, as Simon Fake can show you.
The shutters may be down, but this boxing club is very much open. For now, at least. Aspire has been offering young people an escape and opportunities for over 30 years. Parents say it's been a lifeline for their children.
Went through a little bit of a rough patch, got in with wrong crowd for a while, but then Aspire turned it around, You come through the door here and you get a good atmosphere, it's more family feel. So everyone's taken under the wings of the coaches, and all the other boxers, they just come together, look after each other.
At first I just didn't want my daughter really into boxing, wanted some other sport, but she's come and she's took to it great, she's lost weight. Her self-confidence, like I said, is at 100% now. She used to struggle a bit, but since she's come here, she's grown in confidence, everything.
Since 2017, the club has leased the gym space from the Sheffield Inclusion Centre, who work with young people excluded from mainstream schools. They say demand for their service is greater than ever, and if they're to take on more pupils, they need more space. A blow to Aspire, some say a knockout blow to the area.
This is a really deprived area of Sheffield. This club is free. Ronnie, Shaz and the team don't ask for anything. We turn up, we train. If it left the community, young people that walk here, that bike here, that get the tram here, they wouldn't be able to get anywhere else. And where do they go at that point? So yeah, really, really big loss to the community.
A petition to save the club has over 1,000 signatures, which means members aren't beaten just yet, but they're certainly on the ropes.
If you look around this area, there's nothing for young people to do. There's nothing free for young people to do in this area. So what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, we've got a free resource here. You've seen today we've got a packed gym tonight. We could do with a bigger place, let alone no place at all. So it's a definite we're going to leave here. What we're trying to get the school to do is work with the council to give us time to leave from here and find somewhere else.
The Sheffield Inclusion Centre says the building will be used as a centre for pupils with special educational needs, and they must prioritise their children. Simon Thake, BBC Look North, Sheffield.
Well, we'll let you know how the club gets on in finding a new home, and indeed, if you can help, do get in touch with us. It has been a very busy 48 hours at York City Football Club, who've appointed their new manager after sacking former boss Neil Ardley. Adam Hinshelwood is City's third manager this season and their 12th in just over 10 years. He's been brought in to save the club from relegation and today said he felt confident that he could do just that.
Yeah, extremely confident. Otherwise, we wouldn't have made the journey. So, yeah, it's obviously a tough ask, but we want to galvanise the players and really give it all for the last 11 games.
Finally tonight to the classic tale of good and evil, retold for young people today. No, it's not me and Paul, obviously me being the good one, but Jekyll and Hyde. Students at a school in Wakefield got the chance to see a touring production based on the novel by Robert Louis Stevenson. The show by the National Theatre will head to school halls across the country in the hope of getting the next generation interested in live theatre. Amelia Shalish has been finding out more.
The fire was lit in Mrs. Jekyll.
The stage is set, actors are in position, and the seats are filled, but not by the regular paying theatregoers.
Can't you ever sit still, child? This is not how a girl ought to behave.
Today, the audience is full of pupils at a school in Wakefield. They've been invited to watch a performance of Jekyll and Hyde by the National Theatre. This reimagining of the classic tale sees a Victorian England merge with modern-day themes.
Focusing on violence against women, specifically within the police setting. We focus on the patriarchy and how women can use their voices to actually stand up against that patriarchy, juxtaposing 19th century and 2024 and how we haven't actually come that far, and there's still work to be done.
I am tired of the presumption of women's guilt. Oh, women who are the vixens.
In this production, both Jekyll and Lady Hyde are played by a female actor who unleashes a murderous monster after being undermined and disrespected. The idea is to encourage students to explore and discuss difficult topics outside of the classroom.
I enjoyed that it was a really entertaining show, but it also had a really serious message behind it.
It did help me think about what stuff that's actually going on in the world. It was nothing that I expected it to be. I know what Jekyll and Hyde is about, and this was just completely different.
The show will be watched by over 10,000 students in schools nationwide, including 9 schools in Doncaster and Wakefield. The session ends with a Q&A, allowing students to learn more about the inner workings of a theatre production.
Hello, yeah. It's a connection of everything. It's a connection of performance, writers, ideas, technicians, everything comes together and it's happening in front of you live, that whole thing. And so especially for younger people, if they've never seen that and had that adrenaline rush of going, oh my gosh, this is happening right now. For this one moment, it's happening now. That's why we have to keep doing it. And that's why it's so great that we were able to come into schools.
Now for these students, it's time to head back to the classroom. But maybe for some, just like Mrs. Jekyll, a flame has been lit. Amelia Shalish, BBC Look North, Wakefield.
What a brilliant opportunity for kids to see that live theatre. Great idea. Now, it is a leap year, in case you'd forgotten. So tomorrow, 29th of February, it doesn't happen, only every 4 years, of course. Perhaps you were born in a leap year, officially making you a leapling if your birthday is tomorrow, or perhaps, in traditional fashion, there'll be a few ladies out there popping the question. We would love to hear your stories of rare birthdays or wedding proposals. The QR code is on your screen now if you want to WhatsApp it, or you can email us look.north@bbc.co.uk. Are you getting a bit hot under the collar, Paul? Because she knows you're not going to propose to her, so maybe this is a chance.
Amy, if only you were singular. You've missed the opportunity.
Oh, thank goodness I'm not.
Let me show you a couple of pictures. Look at that lovely picture in Cookridge with all the crocuses, croci, whatever you like to call them. That's stunning, isn't it? And we've had a number of beautiful sunrises. John Lee sends that in from Sheffield. The sky was lovely this morning. So keep those pictures coming in. Addresses are on your screen right now on Twitter, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and on the Weather Watcher website. So it does remain unsettled as we head towards the end of February into early March. First day of meteorological spring on Friday. There could be some snow over the Pennines for a time. Tomorrow itself looks, fairly nondescript, rather cloudy, brighter spells. Most of us will be dry. That's that feature that could bring some hill snow for a time on Friday morning. The low pressure dominating over the weekend. It looks chilly with sunshine and showers. Some of those showers could be wintry, mainly over the hills. Now there's the radar picture. You can see the blues indicating rain and drizzle pushing in from the west, so it's a bit of a miserable, murky night right across Yorkshire. There'll be some mist and fog over the hills. Those patchy outbreaks of rain becoming persistent later in the night before it all clears out of the way. Not for the first time this winter, it's going to be frost-free. We'll see temperatures coming in at 6 or 7 degrees Celsius. So tomorrow's high water times in Scarborough at 6:49, Bridlington at 8 minutes past 7. So it's not a bad day, really. A lot of cloud at times. If there are going to be any breaks, it's going to be across more western and northern areas, a little bit of sunshine, but at least it's mostly dry. Just a hint that there could be a bit of drizzle over the tops of the Pennines later in the day. But as I say, most of us should be dry, and we'll see top temperatures for the last day in February, the last day of meteorological winter, coming in at 9 Celsius. That's 48 Fahrenheit. Unsettled Friday with rain and hill snow at first, bright with showers later. There's an indication of a fairly unsettled weekend. That said, if things remain the same, Sunday could see just isolated showers and a good deal of fine weather. That is the forecast, Amy.
So if the woman proposes to the man, does that mean he doesn't have to buy her engagement ring?
You probably.
Sounds right up your street, that. Win-win. That's it from us. We look forward to seeing all your 29th of February messages. Bye-bye for now.